I swear way too much.
I there's a lot of times I really, really want to swear.
Well, how many kids do you have?
For
Yeah,
Whoa.
that's fair.
and then I work in customer service, so yeah.
Yeah.
And then like today, I'm very open about my faith. I have no problem hiding it. You do you type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And people are just turning my comment sections into war zones. And I
That's my
just want
favorite
to be
part.
like, can you idiots shut the hell up, please? For the love of God. Just stop.
I don't know. Do you follow or have you seen the real Slim Yeezus?
Yeah,
No.
I do. I follow
Yeah.
him.
So he was talking about his pagan nation or whatever. I'm like, can I be the the token Christian Friar Tuck? You guys do youth and I'll do me, and we'll just drink at the end of the night. But I just thoroughly enjoy going to comment sections and just eating popcorn, watching people go back and
It's
forth.
just, it's ridiculous. And it's so disheartening sometimes. And I'm like, why do I even try at this point? Because literally everyone's just pissing me off. And like, someone's like, wow, that's pretty sacrilegious there, bud. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And someone was like, you do know he was a pastor, right? And they're like, it doesn't matter that he was a pastor. He can be wrong. And I'm like, I am going to come through this phone and choke slam you in the name of Jesus. I swear. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, should we go here?
I'm waiting on
Yeah.
you.
All right.
let's
Yeah.
hit
Cool.
it.
Let's go. Welcome back, everybody, to Rules of the Arena number 48. With me in studio tonight is super producer Casey.
Yeah, I'm here.
You're welcome. Forcing you to keep the lights on. And unfortunately, Grandpa Ben has not been found yet. We did have a sighting. It was not confirmed, so we still had the volunteers off in the woods looking for him.
Oh, I thought it was at a Walmart.
No, that was what do they call it now? A fake news.
Oh,
Yeah.
crap.
Oh, okay.
But back tonight from our travel Japan expert
Oh,
Matt.
Jesus. That's a long time ago.
Right, is been kind enough to sit in with me tonight. Thanks, Matt, for coming
Hey.
out. More importantly, my guest tonight is the giant, the myth, the legend, Grothnar the Barbarian, a.k.a. the Bearded Bar, a.k.a. Josh is, I believe, what the government calls you.
Yeah. Most of the time.
And Josh and your wife, Brittany, she couldn't make it tonight, but you guys are the
Right.
owners and founders of Tri-Peak Goods out of one of my favorite states, Montana.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, thanks for coming on the show tonight. Do you mind just
Well,
kind
thanks
of
for having me.
introduce yourself to the folks listening?
Yeah, my name is Josh. I'm still kind of getting used to this large presence on social media thing. It's still very, very new to me. We started this company, though, the Tri-Peak Goods. We started that probably 4 or 5 years ago just on Etsy because I realized that I kind of had a knack for making stuff. And then it died completely for almost 2 years because we had to move and we couldn't do anything with it. And then we opened it back up, and now it's thriving, and it's kind of insane. So we're just moving with whatever's going on.
Before, on top of Tri-Peak Goods, you've worked as a teacher, a pastor, in the construction industry. You're in the telecommunications field. On top of you're a husband, a father, and of course a method actor. I mean, am I missing anything else? What haven't you worked in? I feel
let's
like
see
that's a
here.
shorter list at this point.
I've worked in grocery stores. I've been a delivery guy for 2 different food companies, Jimmy John's and Pizza Hut. I was a security guard for a while. I did that on and off for a couple years. Like you said, I've been a pastor. I've worked in aerospace industry for Spirit Aerosystems, building 747 jets and such. I did road construction, and like I was a teacher for a while. Now I sell cell phones, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Besides doing my own business on top of that, and like you said, being a father and a husband, and
Which are full-time
sometimes having
jobs in
time to sleep.
themselves. So, how did you and Brittany first meet? I was hoping to ask
Well,
her because it's always
yeah.
more interesting to hear the wife's side of the story.
She actually really likes the way I tell it because it's exactly how it happened. I moved to the town we're in right now, which is Lewistown, Montana, straight out of college. I got a job at a church here as the music pastor. And I showed up. I drove 1,200 miles by myself from Wichita, Kansas to Lewistown, Montana. And I get here, I pull into the church parking lot. And I'm like, hi, I'm here. And they're like, hey, the head pastor's not here yet. You're going to have to chill out a bit. I'm like, oh, okay. So he shows up like 25 minutes later. He's like, hey, I've got some ladies coming to pray in the parking lot. You want to come pray with us? I'm like, sure, whatever. So I go out there and I'm getting hugged by people I don't know. And I turn and I see this young lady walking towards me with a woman who was very obviously her mother beside her. And I just went, whoa. And like that's the entirety of what my brain did right then. It was just whoa. And like she walked up and for the first several months that we even like interacted, she was really cold to me, like didn't want anything to do with me. And finally, I don't even remember what caused her to be like, okay, like we can try this out. I know she invited me over for my birthday because I was 1,200 miles from family. And her mom was like, maybe we should have him over. And they made me a cake and stuff. And it was really sweet of them. And then I had surgery. I had a hernia surgery. And we had been talking and stuff. And my dad was going to come up and stay with me for a week or two just to like make sure I was good. And she was kind of nervous to meet my dad. And I'm like, why are you nervous to meet my dad? She's like, what if he doesn't like me? And I go, well, I like you, so he'll like you. And she goes, you like me? And in my mind, I was like, cowboy up, homie, let's do this. And I was like, yeah, I do like you. And we started dating November 22nd of 2013. And we're married August 22nd of 2014.
Jeez.
Oh, wow.
So 9 months to the day, we were just like, nope. Let's get it done.
You're leagues ahead of my last guest on the show, Josh. He forgot their wedding anniversary, how long they've been married.
Oh my gosh.
And his wife, well, Josh is a 20-year
On air.
veteran. Yeah, on air too.
In front of his kids.
And the look on his wife's face was priceless because she was about a half step away from a knife hand and him calling an Uber to get home.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
So you two got married in 2013. When did you, and what were you working in at that point? Were you still with the?
I was doing
as a
pastor. Yeah, I was a pastor at the time. We actually got engaged. We moved back to Kansas for me, and I took a job there. 6 weeks later, that job fell through. So that's when I started working more security. I had worked for the security company before, but I went back to work for the same security company and worked for Spirit Aerosystems. So Monday through Friday, I was working 3:30 to midnight. And then Saturday, Sundays, I was usually working like 8 p.m. to 4 a.m.
And when did you start to think that you want to, start up your own business? You said that you're handy at making things.
Oh, 2 years after we got married. Yeah, because we've been married 6 years now. And it like, oh my gosh, we just got another order on Etsy. I'm sorry, my watch notified.
No worries.
I'm like, oh, geez. Okay. Like probably 2 years. Like I started doing a little bit of really, really basic woodworking. And I cannot for the life of me remember what got me into leather. But like I went to Tandy Leather and I bought $200 worth of leather tools. And I started making leather stuff. And then I'm like, you know what? We should put this online. Like Etsy's a big thing. I knew what Etsy was. And I'm like, we could make some money at this, babe. Like I could be a stay-at-home, work-at-home dad, which is kind of my dream. And she was like, okay, let's try it. So we made Etsy. Like we had been selling to people around town. Like people would go, hey, you make blah, blah, blah. And I go, yeah, I do. Cool. And we just talk about it. And I'd show up at their house a week later and be like, here's your product. Ta-da. But that all started because I learned how to make knives when I was in Montana, like handmade knives. And so that's where that started. And I'm like, I should put my knives online. And my wife's like, what else could you put online? I'm like, let's find out what else I could put online.
So did you start off, so knife making, there's some blacksmithing in there, or were you buying pre-made blades and then adding, the rest of it, if you will?
What I was doing was actually a process called stock removal. It's not blacksmithing, but it's not pre-made blanks. You just take stock steel and you cut out your shape and then you just shape it all down with a belt grinder, basically.
Sure.
And then slap the handle scales on. You still have to heat treat it and everything. So it's the poor man's blacksmithing if you don't have a handle on a forge, basically, which is still not cheap. Like a good belt sander for this is going to run you like $1,200.
Jesus. Yeah, I got a buddy. He just recently in the last couple of years got into blacksmithing, and I nag him at every opportunity possible to make me an Alphonse armor from the
Yes.
Brotherhood.
Oh, that would be ungodly heavy.
What am I thinking of?
Are
Full
you trying
Metal
to think of a
Alchemist.
Yes, full.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Then that wasn't me. You shouldn't have looked at me.
I was
I
hoping.
got nothing on that one, man.
But yeah, but you know, if you're gonna do something, do it right the first time. Don't half-ass it.
Mhm.
So that's why I want full plate Alphonse armor and go to a
Right.
con in that, just because I can, and mostly to annoy my buddy into making it because I know he'd hate every second of it.
Oh, yeah. That would be a ridiculously complicated build. And just thinking about the sheer amount of material in there, either he'd have to make it so thin it wouldn't function as armor, or it would be thick enough to function as armor, but it'd be so heavy you wouldn't be able to move.
Well, I'm 6'3" and into rugby and powerlifting strongman, so I would
Okay, so
I
you
would
might be able to do
train
that.
so I could function in that armor. Like come hell or high water, I'm walking around in this.
Right. And you're like, you stand right there, and when I get to you,
But to foil you, all we would need is just like a mild obstacle in your path.
Right? Yeah.
here, put this bench in his way. Now, dang it, get back here.
So were these skills that you picked up through one of your jobs that you worked over the years, or is this something that you decided, I want this skill so I can make things to sell?
Well, the knife making, actually, when I moved to Lewistown, my best friend, his name is Drew, he knew that I collected knives because I was somewhat of a nerd. I always have been. And I had a very large knife collection because I was also into fencing growing up, like Renaissance sword fighting. I did that from 6th grade all the way through high school, and I loved it.
I fenced once and I'm good. 'Cause
It's so much fun.
I'm more.
But I
the-
did like kendo for a little while. It's like the Japanese, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you, rather than poke you once or twice. Like I'm gonna make you bruise type thing.
I got my black belt and then we just started to get into Aikido. But one of my best friends of most of my life, he did fencing, traditional fencing for
Yeah.
number of years. He's very much so the squirrely little bastard, and I am the if it's broken, it can't hit me anymore. And he can run circles around me. And after about 2.5 minutes, maybe if that long, I decided I hate fencing.
You're like, I'm gonna break his leg and see. If he can run after me.
Run now.
But my buddy Drew was like, "Hey, you like knives, don't you?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I really do." He goes, "You want to learn how to make them?" Yeah. Say less. Let's go. And he had a guy there in town that he was friends with that had started his own business making hunting knives and was like gonna teach him. And he was like, "Hey, can I bring my buddy along?" He goes, "Sure, why not?" So I went and he taught me how to make knives. And oh my gosh, this dude is one of those guys that is just so naturally good at something it pisses you off. Like watching him do this, I'm just like, I don't want to anymore. I want to do something else. You do this because you do it very well. I'm going to go do something else that you can't do so I can feel good about myself.
So how did that lead you down the path to launching Tri-Peak Goods, or was that?
Kinda, yeah. That was actually before me and my wife were even like dating that I did that. So I made all that stuff. I gave the first knife I ever made to my dad, and it was really nice because I had all the really nice equipment to play with. And like my knives have gotten better, but now I'm like upgrading my own equipment. But I just kept going. I really like tinkering with my hands. Like I was never really tinkery growing up. Like I'd make toy stuff. I was always making toy spears and like bows out of a stick and a bungee cord. And like I actually napped my own little arrowheads out of flint
Oh,
when I was
wow.
like 13, and I stuck them. What is that stupid grass that like it grows in big bunches and everyone puts it in their yard, and it's not even a grass. It like has stalks. What is that?
The cat and nine tails, or no? Shit.
Like it's really wavy. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
if
stuff.
you showed a picture, I'd know it. But
Right.
I don't have a green thumb; it's more black.
about. Right. I made arrows out of that, and I would fire it from my bow, from my backyard over my house, over the street, over my friend's house into his backyard.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I'd be like, "Here it comes!" Thoop. And my mom's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Firing an arrow into Tyson's backyard." He's like, "What if it hits him?" I'm like, "He's standing up behind the house. We're not going to hit him." And so, like, I've always liked to mess around with stuff, but I never realized that I was good at making things. Like, really, like, I can make stuff. And after my wife started having me make little decorations for the house when we first got married, I was like, you know what? I kind of got a knack for this. I can figure this stuff out. And then we started selling stuff to people because they'd come to our house and go, "Oh my gosh, where'd you get that? I've never seen that at Hobby Lobby." I'm like, "Yeah, you haven't, because I made it."
It's not the Goodwill Craigslist resale.
Oh no. I was like, "That's 100% your man right here." Mm-hmm. And then it was, "Hey, you guys should start a business, have some side income." And I'm like, "You know what? That's not a half bad idea. Let's do it." And then from there, it's like it had the ups and downs and highs and lows where it was like, I don't think this is ever going to be a viable thing. And now we are getting between 4 and 12 orders a day.
That's crazy.
And it's just like, what is going on?
You just got another order from me about 10 minutes ago.
That was you.
That was you. Okay.
So
Because my watch is all like, burp, burp, new order from Etsy. I'm like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah, I'm gonna get it. I got the egg stacks because Anne's
Nice.
obsessed with her chickens, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is perfect. She doesn't have to keep searching for little containers
Right.
anymore."
Josh, we can talk about my commission rate after the show. So did Mrs. Bart or Brittany, was she creating her own things as well?
She's very artsy. She doesn't like build stuff. She does a lot of different signs. Like, she's really good at coming up with sayings and like the fonts and lettering for signs and stuff. But she's very much so into the home decor. She'd come up to me with a picture from the internet and go, "I want you to make this, but I want you to change it in these ways to fit what I'm doing." And I'm like, "Okay. How do you want me to do that specifically?" And she's like, "I don't really care how you do it. Just do it." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. All right. I love you so much. We're going to see what we can do here."
And I saw some of like your I guess tabletop or countertop signs, and I really appreciate them. But the ideas I have are not appropriate. I'm like, I should really talk to him first before I go, "Can you make this?"
Oh, it says it's customizable.
Right.
Right. And most of the stuff that people ask us to customize, we'll do it. Like, there's obviously going to be a line where I'm like, "I'm not doing that."
Right. Well, I'm nothing bad. So you and I,
Right.
we're both Christians, but I also go to a wide variety of different music that I listen to, and I like to, in particular, death
Right.
metal shows are my favorite because I go in a battle vest, and people see on one arm I have a Celtic cross, on the other other arm I have the Michael battling the devil as a
cool.
stained glass window style, and people look at that and they're like, "Why are you here?" I'm like, I like the music. Why are you
It's
here?
good music. Yeah.
So if I could put that live, laugh, love spin on some of those things is what I would
Oh,
like to
right.
have.
Yeah.
Mostly drive more gray hair onto my mom's head, but
And like, we're doing even more nerdy stuff. Like, I'm getting more into wood burning because someone bought me a pyrography kit off my wish list, and I was like, "This is cool." So like, I'm doing the like the D&D logo, the dragon ampersand, and then I did one of like I guess it was an arcane warrior whose body was made up of magical scrolls. That was cool. But I really want to make one that says like, "Meddle not in the affairs of dragons, for you are crunchy and taste good."
and I'm mad I forgot. I wanted to show you, Casey. So Josh actually made me a dice tray with the Rules of the Arena logo.
Oh
burned
yeah, I
into
think you
the
showed me
leather.
a picture of that.
Yeah. And which I'm stoked because it's guaranteed to get me at least 5 crits every session. So
Is that a
Nice.
creator's guarantee, or is that one that you made?
it
up,
was in the
Jordan?
paperwork Josh sent me.
Yeah,
so.
definitely, like, money back. You may have to come here to get it. But
So how did you two come up with the name Tri-Peak Goods? I mean, what led you to that?
That actually is a whole lot about my faith, because I've always been like, build your foundation on solid ground and you won't go astray. And I just, for some reason, one night I was like, I don't know why, but I want the Trinity, like the Holy Trinity, God, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, to be part of my design. And I had tried to explain to some kids in my youth group what the Trinity was earlier that week. And because they were just like, how can it be 1 and 3? And I was like, well, it's like a mountain range. You can have 3 peaks in the same mountain range. They're each a distinct mountain, but they're still part of that same range. And I went, Tri-Peak. That's it. 3 peaks, Tri-Peak Goods. Ding, ding, we got it.
So what did you start off selling when you launched that?
Harry Potter bookmarks, some like made out of leather, like almost everything was made out of leather. And it's like some wallets and keychains and some really, really rinky dinky jewelry. And then like some of the signs that my wife made. There's one that she does. She takes rope and she spells out the last name of whoever it is, and then like paints after it established whatever year they were married or something like that. But it's this really cool cursive because the rope is one long piece. So it's this really flowy cursive stuff. And that was our biggest seller for quite some time, because people were like, oh, that's really neat. And it looks like you didn't even nail it on the board. And I'm like, haha, we didn't nail it on the board. It's hot glue.
The crafter's secret
Yeah,
weapon.
right.
Hot glue is the greatest. Come on.
See, I was always taught under red green, duct tape.
It wouldn't
Right.
turn out that nice though, Gordon.
If the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy.
Right? You said that you had friends and family telling you that you should start up your own business. I mean, did it start to sell right away, or was it a slow burn off the beginning?
I actually had started a business with my dad, hoping to do custom knives, and we were not even like breaking even on our materials type thing to keep it going. And I kind of started Tri-Peak Goods to do some other stuff that I was doing. I was like, I'm not going to have my knives be part of Tri-Peak Goods. And then I was just like, you know what? We're going to keep doing this. And it was like, we went months without having an order several times. And that is about the most disheartening thing, because you're sitting there going, I've done the research. I've got all the right tags. I'm looking around going, this is exactly what people are buying right now. This is very popular. What the heck do I have to do to boost this? Like, I even had an Instagram for Tri-Peak Goods for a while. I shut that one down long ago because it was
I was
just
gonna say I
making
couldn't
me
find
mad.
that. I was looking for
Yeah,
it. when I was
it's
doing
gone.
posts.
I don't have it anymore. But like, I had like 100 followers, and I was like, yes, 100 followers. We're doing a giveaway, babe. This is the biggest we've ever done. And now I'm just like, oh, 100 followers. Cool.
So when you were first starting off, I mean, was everything made to order, or did you kind of build up
Oh yeah,
a stock
everything
of things?
is made to like. I had a couple wallets on standby and had a couple bookmarks on standby, but it was like I didn't have enough money to go buy all the materials to just have a ton of stuff laying around. It was like, all right, you tell me when you're ready, you pay. I will use that money to go get the supplies I need to make your stuff.
And hopefully have enough left over that you can
Right.
buy something afterwards.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, that broke mostly even. Great. Okay.
Well, how many items did you start off with versus how many are you offering now on your
Oh
site?
gosh. I think I started out with like 15 or 20 unique items. Now we've got more than that, but it's even bigger than that because now I'm doing fully custom jobs, which I am learning a whole lot about how much custom should cost.
T&M,
Yeah,
you're-
T&M.
how-
when I was just
like-
on there, your prices do seem very modest, actually. Like,
Yeah, like, and I want that to be that because, like, you just bought the chicken egg holder. We found those. Like, my wife had seen something like it, and we were like making our own design, and she just Googled rustic egg holder. So people were popping up on Etsy, and they wanted almost $200.
yeah, and see,
Oh,
like,
a
wow.
set of 3 of these, and I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm not good at math, but that doesn't add up at all. I know what you're making these out of, even if it is cedar, which yours look like white pine. That like even if you're using cedar, unless you are taking 18 hours to freaking do this, you cannot justify charging $160 to $180 for that. I just didn't understand it. I know what my stuff is worth.
It's
like,
$20 worth
stuff
of
that I
white
can
pine
get
and,
out
and
quick is one thing, but I'm now learning more and more. Like if it's custom, I'm gonna need to charge more because like if I've got the set like recipe basically down to get this thing out, like those egg holders, we can crank them bad boys out like nobody's business because I made templates for it. It's like that step's done, and we do that step like 15 or 20 times, and it takes us an hour, and then we move on to the next step. Within 4 hours, you've got 7 or 8 sets made.
Yep.
But then someone's like, "Hey, could you modify your design completely and charge me the same amount?" I'm like, "Ha ha ha! No, I can't."
Do you have any just like out of the box insane requests that you've gotten where you've just been like, no, just
yeah,
no?
yeah. Actually, those egg holders have been like some of the messages I've got. I'm just like, what in the world? Why do you people think this is okay? This chick wanted it to be like, because they're 12 eggs. It's 6 wide. It'll hold 12 eggs. She wanted it at first to hold 24. So she wanted it double wide. And I was like, okay, I don't know if that'll work. Like the board will probably bow in the middle a little bit. And then eventually she was like, actually, I'd like it to be 30. And I was like, okay.
I just got
chickens
the
you
little
have?
6-pack holders, so it's like 2 6-packs on
Yeah.
top. I
Yeah.
saw the bigger
Right.
one, but I was like, no, that cute little 6-pack holder's
Yeah,
pretty nice.
exactly. That one's adorable. But she wanted it to be 30, and then she wanted us to incorporate handles into the side. And I'm like, I don't know if you're looking at that. I can't cut handles into that. It will make it fall apart. There's no way to do that.
It's like,
Keep
lady,
the
you want to try and
structural
make this
integrity.
yourself? Like, this is not what I'm showing you that
It's
I'm
the people who have
advertising.
never made anything before, and they're
Well,
like,
but-
here are all my requirements.
But Joanne, what's her name on DIY Network did it for
Yeah.
$3. So
I had a dude. I made a replica Gandalf's pipe, and I didn't make it exact because copyright. But it was functional, like big old long Warden's pipe. And I posted that on Instagram and stuff. And a dude messaged me and was like, "Hey man, I saw your pipe. What's that running?" And I was like, "Well, base price is 120 just based on the time that I spent." And his honest to God response was, "Man, I could buy something like that at the mall for $30."
You go right ahead
What
then,
the
bud.
And I told him,
Yeah,
I was like,
because
"You
it's-
go ahead, you go buy it
it's
for $30 at the mall."
plastic with a not FDA approved lacquer
Right.
on there, and
Well,
it's totally
yeah.
safe to smoke out.
the Peterson one that I have was more than that.
Yeah.
Like
Just a standard Peterson, you're looking at what,
about 100. It was 60-70 bucks.
I'd
for
say
the
that
short
the
one,
cheap
yeah.
ones that they carry down at our local cigar shop, and they have pipe
Right.
tobacco there, and they typically around St. Patrick's Day they'll have a few, I mean maybe 6 Peterson pipes, but I mean the cheapest you're looking at is $60-65.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's just a standard pipe. And
Yeah, and that's a massive factory churn
yeah.
amount.
Oh,
like-
you want the Meerschaum? Okay, that's going to be $150.
Yeah.
But we need to talk pipes after we get done recording
Oh,
because
heck yeah.
I had a
That was actually
Gandalf
one
pipe.
of my most fun builds because I'd never made one before.
Well, I
And
had
most
one.
of my products.
I had it was a 2.5, 3-foot pipe because I wanted one
Whoa.
intentionally to be long so I could sit on my knee and not hold it.
Holy
Because
cow.
the people
That's
that
so
know
long.
me, I move at a delicate pace.
Gordon, there's
I
Should've
nothing
seen the
delicate about you.
Should have seen the cigar he was smoking last night. Oh, this is just a baby. What are you
I
talking
don't burn
about?
calories unless I have to. So my thought was if I could sit in my chair and I could rest the pipe on my knee,
And still be able to smoke it?
yeah, then we're good.
Okay.
But I went to
Okay.
go clean it, and the bowl was a little stuck, and I tried to unstuck it,
Oh,
and in the
no.
process of I broke the inner stem.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like, oh, that was awesome. Way to go there, Groot.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, but like most of my orders are how this one happened. I got an email because I set up my business email. I said, if you have a request, just email me and we'll see what we can do. And this chick emailed me and was like, "Hey, can you make Gandalf's pipe?" And I sent back, I am sure going to try because that sounds like fun. And I watched approximately 2 YouTube videos and went, yep, I can do that. And then I set about making the pipe, and it turned out really well. Like, I knew there were things I could have improved on it, but first pipe, I was really happy with it.
That's
So
awesome.
Was the plan to start off with customizing items on your shop, or was that this you had enough requests for it? Like, okay, I should add to this.
On the Etsy store, it was, we're going to make these and we're going to make them this way. If you want custom, we may be able to accommodate that. It is going to be extra. But I don't remember what I did. I posted a video on TikTok of me just making something. And I kind of wish I remember what it was. But someone was like, could you do a custom one of that? And I was like, yeah, probably. I don't see why not. And then they were like, do you have an email? And I'm like, no, but I'm going to make one quick. So I ran to Google and was like, let's see, the Bearded Bard. It's taken. Ah! And so I made the Bearded Bard 01, and I have not caught up with emails since.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I'm not technically savvy, and I was trying to, like, Casey informed me what the difference between a modem and router is for internet the other week. Learn something new every day. But I was trying to find you on Instagram the first time before I could figure out that there was a button on TikTok bios.
Oh, yeah.
And there's like 3-4 other bios that came up. Like, this doesn't look like the
That's
Bearded
not
Bard that
him.
I know.
The crappy thing is, one of those bios is my old one because Instagram shut my first profile down with no warning and wouldn't let me get it back.
Oh,
They
wow.
tried to do that to this one, and I threw a fit. I sent an email that was like, look, this is bull crap, and you and I are about to have a problem.
For
I
legal
know I'm
reasons.
not big enough, but I'm going to be really pissed, and I'm going to let the world know what you're doing.
For legal reasons,
Give me
I'll tell
my
you a story
account
about that
back.
off air.
Yeah.
But so did you start off selling with Etsy, or did you try to partner up with, like, I work with a bunch of Amish accounts, and they build furniture and they sell through
Right.
a local retailer. Did you try to go that route, or did you, like, the hell with brick and mortar, we're just going to go online commerce only?
I pretty much started with the intention of only doing Etsy just because I don't have to pay anybody to have my merchandise in their store. And I'm like, yeah, it'd be nice to have a physical thing and they can get it right then. But at the same time, then I'm paying like 30% to the shop owner to have it maybe sell.
Yeah, in this
Like,
day
and
and age,
everything-
everything's internet. Yeah.
And it just takes a long time to build up stock of stuff that I don't know if it's going to sell. Like, I've got stuff from when I started Leatherworks still that has not sold, and I have put it everywhere. I have worked now with three actual like brick and mortar stores. One of them didn't sell a thing in 3 months, which I think that was, they contacted me out of nowhere, and I was like, I'm not really thinking your shop is the venue. And they're like, no, it'll work. And then 3 months later, not a dime. And I was like, I kind of feel like I told you that was not going to work. And then there's 2 stores in town where I am right now that I put my stuff in, and both of them are doing decent. Like, we run out of stuff there pretty often, so we have to take stuff back to them. But it's still definitely not nearly as lucrative as online because, one, we have no idea what people are actually looking for because we're not in the stores.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, it just takes a whole lot of time to make a bunch of stuff and put it out there and be like, well, hope they like it.
Do those stores, do they come to you like, hey, a customer was looking at your item and they really liked it, but they really wanted to be, option B? Do they communicate that back to you, or are you just completely in the dark?
They have all of our contact information. I've got business cards that are sitting at both of those locations. And I'm like, if they want custom, and it even says like, we're Tri-Peak Goods. We also do custom orders. If you want something custom, please contact us, blah, 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 blah. And it has all my stuff right there. And no one has contacted yet. So either they're not reading it or they don't actually care to have custom.
How much is that, do you think, in your opinion, on the training of the staff that are working? Do they know that they can give out your business?
Oh,
card
yeah.
and say-
Yeah. One of them is actually a friend of mine who follows me on TikTok. She opened her own tea store. Like she quit her day job and has now got her own like herbal tea shop, and like you can buy some other stuff in there, but she's got some of my leather goods and stuff. And she was like, "Hey, I'm opening a tea store and I really like your stuff, like your leather work and your woodwork. I think it would work very well in here." She's got very heavy like rustic vibes, but then she's got some like Celtic and Gaelic vibes in there, and then like a little bit of paganism, just because like everyone was like, "Ooh, a little pouch of herbs to make me feel better in my luck," and I was like, "All right, cool, do you, whatever, that's fine."
Have you ever
I have
tried?
had people ask me if I can make them a magic wand, and I want to be like, "You do know this is going to be a stick and a rock." Like,
And you're like, but I can charge $60 for that stick in a rock. Like,
yeah, you have to have a lot of
Personalized
sticks
Harry
and
Potter
rocks
wand.
laying around.
I want authentic phoenix feather, damn it.
I'm gonna have to hunt the booger down. Dang it.
Get a stick and a pillowcase and go find those snipes and sell it off as,
Right.
as off-
These are snipe feather wands.
They're very accurate.
Have you ever tried selling at either local fairs, farmer markets, or craft shows? I know we just had Backyard Renfest here because our
Right.
local Renfest has been shut down because of COVID-19. Have you gone that route at all?
There's a fair here that I wanted to sell at. I just flat out didn't have time to get anything ready for it. And with COVID, the job that I was working at straight up told me that I would be working that day. So I'm like, I'm not even going to get to go to the fair. So for one, if I had time to get anything done, and it was like right after my surgery happened. So I'm just sitting there going, well, I don't have time to get anything done. I wouldn't actually be there. I'd like to do that. And I have done it once at, they advertised not as a flea market. What was it? It was a flea market, but it was not
We're
a flea
gonna
market.
put a
It was
new
supposed to be
label on
like
it.
a retro flea market or whatever. And I paid for a booth for a weekend, and I didn't even recoup my booth fee.
Ugh.
And I'm just like, I don't think I'll be coming back. And the lady was like, "Are you sure? I think you could do really good here." And I'm like, I sat here for 16 hours and didn't make a sale. I actually had someone come and ask me if I could fix their toy wooden sword for free.
But it's great exposure. What's the problem?
Oh yeah, perfect exposure. Just let me throw that on the dinner table when the kids
Right.
are hungry. Gosh.
Oh,
And,
man.
and speaking of COVID-19, a lot of big box stores have seen a huge decrease in sales and traffic going into them for obvious reasons. I mean, why wouldn't you want to go into a store with 1,000 people?
Yeah.
But it seems like looking at the shops that I follow online, it's either been feast or famine. I mean, have you seen an increase or decrease with your business because of COVID?
I have seen an increase of more serious customers. Like the ones that are like, well, I might buy something from you, have kind of dropped off. The ones that are like, absolutely, I'm willing to shell out for this custom made thing that I want from you. Those people, they're not coming out of the woodwork, but if I get an email and like I can usually just read the first email I get from someone and get a good idea of if they're serious or not. And I get a lot more of those of, "Hey, Mr. Bard, I'm reaching out to you today to ask if." I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be a good one. Cool." But if I get, "Hey, do you make?" and it's "do oo make," and I'm like,
This one just goes into the trash. We can move on.
I was gonna
Yeah.
ask with the customizable stuff. So you made the dice box for Gordon there. The process of that, did Gordon send you like what kind of file did Gordon send you for that, and like how the process? Like, do you have a machine that you can actually stamp it with, or?
"No, that was all hand tooled."
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
I think he just sent me a JPEG. I printed it off. The cool thing with leather, when you to do any tooling in it, you have to get it wet, and it has to stay wet while you're tooling it.
Okay.
So what I did is I cut the piece of leather. I sized his logo to fit like perfectly in that leather. I printed it off. I got my leather wet, and I put magnets to hold the piece of paper to the
Oh,
leather.
Oh, cool.
I didn't
So
know
it
if it was like a
wouldn't move at
tattoo,
all.
you know, that like tattoo ink where it goes on your skin.
Oh,
It could-
no.
okay, I didn't know if it was like that or what. Yeah, so it,
There might be a way to do it like that, but any color that gets on the leather pretty much stays.
oh, okay.
So if you're intending to stain it or whatever, I wouldn't do anything like that. Like I won't even use a pencil on my leather.
So then you
because
you
it's hard
magnet
to
Oh,
get
okay,
it
so
off.
it's all just
you
overlay.
magneted
and
the
then-
picture on there, and then like
Yeah.
what's the next step after that then?
I have a very small, like it's a stylus that's just a super small round steel tip,
Okay.
just perfectly round, smooth, and it's like the size of a pen head. And I just went in and I pushed on the paper to get a good indent, and then I went back with something called a swivel knife, and it's just this little leather tool. You get this basically a little saddle that you put your pointer finger in, and then your thumb and your middle finger operate the swivel, and it's a little knife blade that comes out. You push down with your ring finger, and you draw this knife along,
Okay.
and then you swivel it with your other fingers to get a good indent. And then after you make your cuts, you go back with your stamps, your shaders, your bevelers, and stuff, and then you bring out all the texture of what the shapes are that you want.
Because yeah, just looking at the video that he showed me or whatever, yeah, it looks almost perfect. Like it was some sort of machine like pressing the leather or something. So yeah, that's awesome that it's all actually by hand.
That one took a long time, I will admit. I got done and my hands were cramping up, and I
I
was
was
like,
sitting here like, oh, there's a
"Ah."
lot of cool stencils out there, like Steve Zissou from
Right.
Life Aquatic. That'd be kind of fun on a
No,
dice box.
Josh
or-
learned the thing that we all learn when we work with Gordon. You should charge him more.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so I found you on TikTok, which I'd like
Right.
to talk about, and saw you were making, and I'm like, oh, he has an Etsy shop. I want to go in there. I'm like, ooh, dice trays. Fuck yeah, I need one of those because
I was very as I was scrolling through, that one shot up at me. I was like, oh, there's many
and I'm like,
things I could
want
do.
because I am shameless in the promotion of my podcast. Like everything I own has Rules of the Arena on it somewhere. And I'm like, I wonder if you could put this logo on a dice tray. And shot you a quick email, and you're like, yeah, I can do this. I'm like, this is gonna be complicated. I hope it's not too much. And he goes, it's this much. I'm like, all right, let's send it.
Awesome.
That should be our middle table thing then. Have him design a bigger one with the
Oh,
BNS in the
that's
middle.
Not a bad idea.
The
Well,
group-
yeah,
the
we'll
group
have to-
one.
We'll have to figure that one
and
out.
then put a lacquer over the top of it.
Ooh.
I might know a guy that sells lacquers.
God damn it, Gordon! Stop bringing it back to paint.
Hey, Josh, do you and Brittany, do you think you two would ever want to have a storefront yourself, or do you just want to keep things online, keep it, the KISS, keep it simple, stupid?
Right. I don't like we literally just got our business license to operate here in Lewistown, because not only do I do that, I sell my fish, shrimp, and snails to a couple local fish stores in the state. And to do that, I didn't know it at first, but apparently you have to have a business license to do that. So
What?
I did that for like 2 years without knowing that. But now I've got my business license, and we have applied for an in-home. What did they call it? Like an in-home business or something like that? I don't remember what the technical term for it was, but I don't ever want to. At this point, I don't want to have a storefront because I can be at home to sell at home and still be working on my stuff. Unless my store has all of my supplies there that I'm going to need to work on anything, I don't really want to be there. Plus, we homeschool our kids. So it'd be like, unless it's going to provide what we need to homeschool the children, have all the tools that I need, have all the supplies, and still be an operational storefront, I don't really want to try it because that's more mortgage or rent or whatever on top of everything that I already pay. And you know what? With COVID going right now, there's a whole lot less traffic going to any stores. So my online stuff's doing just fine without me having a physical place to do it. And I kind of intend to keep it that way.
And I completely forgot when I was writing show notes. So you breed fish, snails. Do you do plants as well? Aquarium plants?
I have some, and I've been basically just propagating them between my tanks. Like I'll buy one plant, and I will start it off in a tank. But once it gets big enough, I've got 2 plants, and then I've got 4 plants. And we've given them away to some of our family members. Like I helped my sister-in-law set up their tanks, and we've sold them to some other people around town. But it's not like exactly what I'm looking to. What, bud? Can we watch a different one, maybe? And can Bradley come out? Bradley is in trouble. You guys can watch PJ Masks if you want. PJ Masks. Shut the door, please.
I've never heard somebody so excited.
You obviously haven't watched me do an unboxing video. Because people are like, you're like a little kid. And I'm like, I'm just excited because life is awesome.
So why snails? Is it escargot or
no? They're actually aquarium snails. They're called mystery snails.
Okay.
And I never intended to breed anything. I got a fish tank for like $10 at a fish store because we were going there because they sold crickets and we had a bearded dragon. And my brother-in-law at the time was living with us and he was like, hey, there's this little fish tank here. We should get it for the kids. And I was like, you know what? That's a pretty cool idea. Let's do it. So we bought this little 10-gallon fish tank and I fell in love with it. And I'm one of those people that like, I don't like things to a small degree.
I have no idea what that's like.
Yeah, I really like this now.
As I look around the studio.
Yeah. It got to the point where the guy who owned the store, like I had his cell phone number and I would text him, be like, hey man, I'm coming into town. I've got X number of this. What do you want? And he'd tell me and I'd bring him fish and he'd trade me supplies or trade me other species or new fish to put into my breed stock. Because if you interbreed them too much, you get really, really bad genetic problems. But like, I was not doing bad with it. I didn't pay for food. I didn't pay for filters for my tanks. I didn't pay for decorations. And be like, hey, what about this new species that you got over here? I haven't seen this one yet. And he's like, all right, I'll tell you about it. Which I guarantee he regretted every single time. It would be a 30-minute ordeal. I'm like, you tell me everything about this fish. What does it play nice with? What does it not play nice with? What water parameters does it need? What does it eat? Can I breed it?
So he knew he needed to do a lot of research before you showed up.
Oh, yeah. And like, he'd text me sometimes and be like, hey, man, I'm looking for guppies. What do you got right now? And I'm like, oh, I got like 200 guppies that I can bring you. He's like, all right, bring 200. And I just show up with 200 guppies.
So how do you you get started in the
No,
fish?
I said Bradley cannot come out. Sorry about that. Say it again.
No worries. How do you get started in fish breeding? Because I've grown up. My dad's had a way too many fish tanks over the years, and from just your basic beta fish, the Japanese, Chinese fighting fish or whatever, to he had koi that he bought when they're the size of a thumb, and then a hawk ate them when they're worth about $250, $300 a pop.
Right. You're just like, oh,
three died when I was house sitting for 2 weeks because there's a pH spike in the water. That's what put the gray hair in my beard there.
That's a bad one. I got started by accident because I bought guppies, and guppies are aquatic rabbits. They are ridiculous.
Oh, honey, look at there's 5 more.
Like, no joke, they can have a batch of babies every 29 days.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, and they can have anywhere between like 5 to 50 babies in one go, and the babies are alive. They're live birthing fish. So all of a sudden you just see like all these little things just around the tank, and you're like, oh no, that's babies. Oh, no. And then once the babies start growing up, most of them will reach maturity if you have enough plant cover, and then they will start breeding. I started out with like 10 guppies, and I sold probably over 1,000 of them in the course of 6 months.
Wow.
What does a guppy go for? Because I've only talked to one person that breeds fish, and he has a quote unquote pond that is a Olympic 50,000 gallon swimming pool that he will buy koi eggs for 4 for a penny or something.
Right.
Turn them around when they're an inch or two long for $2.50 a pop. And he had me down. He lives in Gainesville. He had me down there. He goes, "Oh, want to go check out my fish?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure." He climbs in the pool, and all of a sudden, it's a Disney movie of
Yep.
fish going, "Yep, it's food time. Let's go."
That's awesome. Yeah, and like guppies were like $1 a piece. Currently, I've got one live bearer species, one egg laying species, two species of shrimp, and the species of snail. My snails, I sell them in bulk for like $1 a piece because this chick will buy 150 at once.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
like, yep, for you, I'll give you a discount. For like the live bearers, it's usually $2. For the egg layers, it's $2 or $2.50, depending on the grade of babies I've got. The shrimp are my money makers because I've got a red species called cherry shrimp and then a blue species, and they are blue really shrimp. And the blues are super rare. Like they're really hard to keep because they will just die for no reason.
Oh, that's fun.
You're just like,
Sounds about
hey,
right.
your parameters are correct. I feed you, your light's good. You're not going to die, right? And they're like, yes, but actually, no.
Just not feeling life right now.
Yeah. So, legitimately, this happened to us about 2 months ago. I had built up my blue species. I had probably a couple hundred in the tank, probably around 200. And I took 50 of them to sell. And for some reason, all of the rest died.
Oh,
Like all but 6 that I had in this other tank that we had started.
So would that be something like me and the koi fish, or is this just a random PI? Because that was an outdoor pond,
Well,
and so pH
The
spikes
thing
were something
was,
you had to watch out
there
for.
was no spike. There was no change in the water parameters at all. I checked and double checked and triple checked. It was just like, and there was no bodies either. They were just gone.
Wait, no bodies?
they're aliens.
No
Yeah,
carnivorous
They're
snails
just
in that tank.
gone. And I'm like, there was hundreds in here. Like you couldn't look somewhere in the tank without seeing a surface covered with these bright blue shrimp. We took 50, and then like the next day, I'm like, they're gone. All of them are gone.
They just climbed out and left.
Actually, I do have a shrimp species that will do that, but I can't breed them because they have to have brackish water to start with.
Go on.
I'm not investing in that.
So
When I was a teacher, I had a shrimp over the weekend crawl out of a tank and go 25 feet across my classroom and die under a desk. I'm like, you freaking idiot, stay in the tank.
But the life must be better over there.
I'm like, you had everything you wanted. It was a beautiful tank. But you had to crawl out because you're dumb.
welcome, jackass. My name is Shrimp.
I'm gonna climb 25 feet.
So these are all freshwater species, or are you diving
Yep,
into the
I don't do any
saltwater?
saltwater yet because saltwater is a job.
Yes, and I have a 300-gallon tank in a storage unit with stand that I got for free that I want to turn
Oh.
into a saltwater, and I collect fish tanks apparently.
Right.
I have a 300, 55 wide, a 55 deep, a 75 octagon, a 20 long, and a
Jesus.
Gordon,
they?
where do
10.
you have all of these tanks? Your house isn't that big.
and I have 240 gallon talls.
Holy crap,
So
man.
you're saying we're gonna take a road trip to go see him in Montana?
And
right?
You're just gonna bring all these tanks.
No, my hope and dream is to do, and I need to buy a house and I need to reinforce the floors, but I'd like to turn the
Right.
300 gallon into a saltwater live, or what do they call it?
This is gonna be like Deuce
Bio-
Bigelow, Male Gigolo, and
Basically
okay.
self filtering. But on top of the self filtering, I'd like to have one of my 55s as a sump tank, just to make sure.
Okay,
because
yeah.
I had a roommate; he had a 40-gallon self cleaning ecosystem tank that was really cool, and he had like the lights and the Raspberry Pi that made it, and with the thing that creates the current in there for.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
So basically, you'd have random storms just like it would down in the Caribbean. And I'd
Oh,
like to do
that's
something
sweet.
like that on a larger scale, but I need time and money,
Yeah.
of
And
course.
space and
Yeah.
all of these
Right.
things.
Well, I have the space, but I don't know. So saltwater is about 12 pounds a gallon, give or take, right, Josh?
Yeah, because freshwater is 8.
Yeah. So I have 300 gallons of water, and the tank itself is probably 150, 200 pounds.
Oh,
The
easy.
stand it
Yeah.
goes on is easy 400 pounds because it's solid oak. And I'm in a 1963 built house.
Oh, that's gonna go through the floor.
Oh yeah.
Half the time, I'm afraid my record collection is gonna fall through the ceiling of my Prairie Mill building because that's a heavy fucking collection. So I know what you're talking about there.
So it's like I need a ground floor that doesn't have a basement underneath it, or at least some concrete underneath to keep
Right.
that from happening.
That'd be a cool system.
But
And
yeah,
we've got my biggest one right now is 150 gallon, and it's in the basement for the same reason. I was like, I am not putting that upstairs. I know my house is pretty well built. I ain't risking it. We're just gonna put that bad boy downstairs because then even if it does break or leak anything, there's a drain like 10 feet away in the floor, so it'll
Right.
just go right
and
away.
you throw sand and coral in there, and that's an extra, we'll say 100 pounds
Oh,
combined,
easily.
and then the weight
Yeah.
of the fish.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
It can be an issue. I had a chance to get a 350 gallon tank, and I didn't
Oh
have
my
a way to
gosh.
transport it, but I figured out I could have a dogfish, which is a little tiny shark.
A shark, yeah.
Yeah, and I
And
wanted it.
they're not exactly small. They're like 3 foot long, aren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah. Well, at
my
peak,
gosh.
that's and with dogfish, from what I understand, everything that I read, they grow to size. So if you put them,
Right.
minimum is like 300 gallons that you need, but 350 plus, you're fine. But they'll grow to whatever their enclosure allows them to. Wow. So that's kind of built in. But that's a 5 pound fish on top of, I already have 1,000 pounds here. Probably not good to do in where I'm living
Yeah.
currently.
And don't dogfish eat crustaceans if I remember correctly, like clams and mollusks and stuff?
I believe wild, yes.
So we're gonna tear your bar out and put a aquarium.
I mean,
right
I
there.
wouldn't be super
Right?
mad about that. That'd be kind of cool. But then where'd my booze go?
I know.
we'll just transfer that over that wall. They do in the wild. They do. I think in captivity you can feed them at whatever recommended food.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, my roommate, he had. You were talking about a shrimp getting out of the tank. He had one of those. I can't remember what the fish name is now. We call them. What do we call him? Wesley from Star Trek. Excuse me. But they kind of burrow underneath coral, and they would make their own little home, and they literally pick up sand and spit it back out, which is really fun to watch when they first get in there.
Oh,
But-
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Gobies.
Yes, thank you, goby. He had a desert goby.
That's cool.
But he didn't have a lid on the tank because the light system they had, and we're pretty sure that the goby decided to shoot out the top of the tank, and one of the 5 cats that I was living with decided to have a snack.
Oh,
Oh.
So yeah, then he got the second goby, and then he put a lid on there, and that was Private Ryan, because we were trying to save Private Ryan.
All right. Well, to kind of pull us back just
Yes,
a little bit,
sorry.
we're an hour in, and we haven't kind of talked about we've touched on it, but the elephant
Yes.
in the room, TikTok.
TikTok. That's how I first found you. And the very first video I saw of yours was Grothnar, was it half barbarian, Goliath barbarian?
He's a Goliath barbarian, yeah.
Goliath barbarian going for a new record with a bandit.
Yes.
So,
that's one of the really good
How
ones.
did you come across TikTok, and what caused you to go into the D&D realm with that?
Well, I was actually working road construction, and I was sicker than a dog, had like a fever and was throwing up and stuff, stuck in my hotel room for like 2 days. And I had been seeing all sorts of ads for TikTok. And I'm like, you know what? It looks kind of like Vine, and I loved Vine. I'm going to download it, and I'll just see, like, it's something to do while I'm sick and stuck here. So I downloaded it. And I started watching it, and I was like, you know what? There's some pretty funny stuff on there. And then all of a sudden, a D&D TikTok came up, and I was like, hold up, they have D&D on here? I love D&D. So I started like looking at it. And I've always been kind of a theatrical person. Like I was in theater, no surprise there, all throughout school. And I was like, I can act. This would be fun. Like I'll just be a dork on here. And the first Grothnar video I ever made took me from like 10 or 20 followers to over 1,000 in
Jesus.
2 days. And I was like, hold up, what's going on here? This is weird. And then I made a couple more Grothnard videos and it got bigger. And I was like, what is going on? And then other D&D TikTokers were like reaching out to me. They're like, hey man, love your stuff. And I'm like, I've been watching you for a long time. And,
Yeah, I jumped on
like,
TikTok.
you've got a lot of followers.
Yeah, I jumped on TikTok about almost 2 years ago now, I think. Because when I moved, I had no internet for 3 weeks. And so my
Right.
life decided of Facebook, Instagram for the podcast, and looking on Zillow for properties for sale, just for seeing what the market value is out there. And then, like you said, I saw ads up and down for TikTok. I'm like, screw it. We're just going to hop on here for 5 minutes, and it's going to be stupid, and I'm going to get off.
Right.
And here we
There's
are
gonna
2
be
years
dancing
later.
teenagers, and I'm going to get sick of it.
But I well, as every D&D player knows, that the barbarian is the far superior class.
Yeah.
That's what attracted me
Except
to
for cleric.
I appreciate the cleric role for keeping me alive, because I tend to do stupid shit when I'm playing.
Well, that's the barbarian's role,
Yes.
to do the stupid
Yeah.
thing.
How are we going to solve this puzzle? I'm going to break it. I don't think that'll solve it. It'll open the door, though.
That's a solution.
Right. So you play Grothnar the Barbarian, you have a druid, you have a rogue, you have a wizard. Did you create those characters for the videos, or did you base them on characters that you played as or with in your
One
sessions?
of the characters is based off my character that I actually played, and that's Torgrim, the Dwarven Tempest cleric. Sassy little Scottish man that he is. And he was my first D&D character ever. And I didn't even get to finish the campaign that I was in with him, because we moved from Kansas to Montana. My group is in Kansas. And
Does anybody ever finish their campaigns?
no.
No.
They
It's
always
like,
derail.
Yeah. It's
But like Grothnar, so many people have asked me this question, and it's like, where did Grothnar come from? What was your inspiration? I was like, I was standing in my garage one day, and I wondered how a wizard and a barbarian would get along if the wizard was a tiny human and the barbarian was a literal giant. And it was that first video where the wizard's like, Grothnar, come down here, and Grothnar's like, what puny wizard want? We're going to fight a manticore, and this time we're doing it my way. We not do it puny wizard way. We do it Grothnar's way. And he goes, you're going to do it my way, or I'm going to set your head on fire. And Grothnar's like, wizard make good point. And that was the start of everything. People were like, I need more of this Grothnar. And I was like, you know what? He's kind of funny. Let's see where Grothnar develops to. And now he's become this thing that has literally got his own hashtag with over 1.5 million views on TikTok. If you type in Grothnar or Grothnar and Company, the hashtag itself has been viewed like 1.7 million times. And the only reason it hasn't been viewed more is because I kind of stopped making them, because it was so much work to write the script, to record the script, to edit everything, and still have time to do everything else that I wanted to do.
So how much time do you think you'd put into just one 30 to 60 second video?
The 30 to 60 second videos were easier, like maybe 2 hours at the most. But like when I started doing like the 5 to 15 minute episodes,
Jesus.
that was 5 or 6 hours easy, like bare minimum 5 or 6 hours.
And I fell off, usually when I'm on TikTok, it's laying in bed trying to wrap up for the night.
Go to bed.
Speaking
Yeah,
of,
Gordon, go to bed.
Fine.
Jesus.
Sorry. My oldest two is in trouble. He's like, where's mom? I miss her. And I'm like, that's just too bad.
but I fell off my bed because I was laughing so hard. I had tears streaming down my face because it's like, fuck, it's my spirit animal.
And he is like the stereotypical barbarian, except that he's not fully like kill everyone. He's like, I'm not going to kill him, but I'm going to throw him. And if gravity does the job for me, at that point, I don't really care.
Have you ever played any of the Star Wars RPGs, or are you strictly D&D?
Oh, I've played Star Wars RPGs on like consoles, but I've never played a tabletop Star Wars.
Okay, well, I got some stories for you once we get done here because we're gonna eat up a lot of time with those. But
Right.
so, how do you come up with the skit ideas, and how did you come up with the different characters for them?
Skit ideas, I just daydream like constantly. And most of the skit ideas, oh my gosh, I just realized when I stopped making them. I stopped making them when I quit Pizza Hut because I was daydreaming the skits
Go
while I
back.
was driving for Pizza Hut. Oh my gosh.
You just got an exclusive, Gordon.
Yes, that's
Oh my gosh. Like,
That's a
I've
two I
never
got
made
on
that
you.
connection. I'm like, why did I stop doing Grothner and Company? Because I didn't have time to daydream anymore. I was doing stuff like there is no brain power involved in delivering pizza. There just isn't. So that was where I was daydreaming and getting all of my ideas for the scripts. And like, I just like to tell stories anyway. And once I had a set character base, it was really easy for me to go, okay, this is where I'd like this story to go. And I was even bouncing ideas off some of my coworkers at Pizza Hut. Be like, guys, what do you think about this? And they're like, that's a bit cliche, don't you think? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Let's go a different way with that.
But can we look forward to any more Grothnar and
I am
Company?
in the process of finalizing the next script.
And I was poking around your website, just kind of piecing together questions for tonight, and I saw you have a little podcast app on there.
I was originally, that was the way Grothnar was going to go. I was going to make it a vocal only podcast because I was like, you know what? That's a whole lot less work than costume changes and like getting the lighting right and getting everything changed. Because like when I do it, I will record one character's lines from beginning to end, slice it, and then piece it all together so that I'm not doing a constant, well, I was this character and now I got to change, move, and the backgrounds never stay the same, whatever. So I was like, if I don't even have to do costume changes, if I can just sit in one spot and just talk it all out, that's going to be faster. But the more I thought about that, the more I was like, you know what? That wasn't part of the charm of Grothnar and Company. Grothnar and Company, the charm was seeing one guy portray 5 different people. And like one of the biggest jokes on there was Grothnar at one point said, hey, you all ever realize we look alike? And something smacked him upside the back of the head real hard. He goes, what was that? And the wizard goes, I believe that was the fourth wall smacking you. And now Grothnar has a feud with the fourth wall. He's mad about it. And he's like, at one point in one of the next episodes, he goes, we all look the same. And he ducks, and you hear a whoosh, and he goes, ha ha, and stands back up, and then gets clocked in the face by this invisible force. And the axe, the evil sentient axe is like, you imbecile. And Grothar's like, quiet you.
But can we expect a launch date ever to either
I'm
try
not going to
Peak
give a
Good
launch
or
date because then if life happens like it so often does, I would feel really bad if I didn't get the launch date. I'm hoping to have it done before October is over. And my future plans are to probably have one good episode a month. There might be little stuff in between here and there, but just really looking at my availability until I am my own boss. I'm working 40 hours a week doing stuff. I just don't have time to do everything that I want to do and still continue everything else. Like I was going to stream for a little while and I'm like, I can't stream. I'm working on stuff in my shop. And then I'm like, well, if I'm working on stuff in my shop, I can't do my videos and other stuff like that. So I have to pick and choose what I'm going to do. So right now I have picked and chose that Grothnar on the back burner to do my business. But once I have more time, Grothnar is definitely going to come back. more fully, but right now he's just going to come back in a slightly less than he was before, because I was doing like an episode probably every other week for a while there, and that was just exhausting.
Sounds like a massive schedule, like just insane.
Well, like I'd get to the point where I was finishing recording at 1:30 or 2 in the morning. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to edit this tomorrow. I'd go to work all day. I'd come home. I'd work on some custom orders and stuff in the garage. And by the time that I'm just like, I am beat, I need to sit down, or I'm going to fall asleep on my feet, me and the wife would go sit on the couch, turn on The Office. I'd put in my headphones and start editing. And then I'd fall asleep while editing, and I'd wake up, and it's like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm like, I got to go to bed now.
So, kind of switching from Grothnar and that aspect of your TikToks for a little bit. You've also like really pushed your custom work and stuff like that through your TikTok, right? Have you seen like some direct growth through there? Or?
Oh my gosh, yeah! Every time I post a video of a custom piece, I will get no less than 20 or 30 emails in the next day or two about that piece.
Oh wow!
Yeah, like Gordon's tray. I put that out.
It's about that commission,
right? Yeah, I think I got like 15 requests that day. And they were like, you make dice trays? And I'm like, you bet I do. And they're like, could you do one like you did for the one on your TikTok? And I'm like, yeah, that's why I posted it.
So do you take that into account, like when you're looking at your release schedule for videos and stuff like that? Are you taking that into account? Be like, okay, so we're set up to do this right now. This is the kind of video I should release, or
yeah, I like if you look at my TikTok, I've got 87 drafts right now. And those are some of those are answers to questions people have given me. Some of those are the beginnings of crafting videos. Like I've got 4 crafting videos that are in the process right now of being finished. So like when I get a chance to work on them, I video a little bit more. But if I finish a video, chances are I don't post it right then, unless it was an off the cuff, like we're just going to do this right now type thing. Otherwise, I keep them and I kind of gauge what's going on. Cause like I look at the analytics of my audience a lot and I'm sitting there going, my followers are active, really active between this time and this time. So if I post this video that I want to get a little bit of traction right now, it's not going to do much unless it fits these criteria. And I'm starting to get it down. Like I know most of the time, if I post this video, it's not going to go huge. It might do pretty well, but it's not going to go real big. Now, if I post this video at this time, it's going to do really well. Like my work stories, I know for a fact, if I post a work story at 7 a.m. my time, any day of the week, it's going to do really well. I mean, because that's when a lot of my followers are getting up and checking their phones, and they see the format that I do for my work stories, and they go, ooh, 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 there's another one. I got it.
I mean, that really makes sense, because that's about the time I'm on my toilet scrolling through TikTok.
Right. I've posted a lot of TikToks from the toilet.
Do you... I completely lost my place here. Casey threw me off here.
I'm sorry that I made you better.
Yeah, God damn it. Merch. There we go. Merch line.
Right.
So I popped into your merch store, and you have a lot of the Grothnar company shirts and stuff like that. I mean, did you ever think prior to before the TikTok, did you think like, oh, I should do this T-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff like that?
Nope, not once.
Was that a fan requested thing, or did you go, hey, let's throw
was
this
a
dart
gift
in the
from a
closet
fan.
and see what happened?
That was a gift from a fan.
No
Those
kidding.
designs, I didn't make any of them.
Oh, wow.
I was doing a live stream one night on TikTok, and like, there's some of my followers. I don't follow all of my followers back because you can only have 10,000 people that you follow. And let's be real, if I followed a quarter of my followers, I wouldn't be able to follow anything else.
And you don't even follow me. I see how it is.
right?
Gordon, I
But,
barely
like,
follow you.
I know, I know that. I watched it.
I try to make it a point to remember the people that are interacting with my stuff a lot. And like I'll ask them about stuff that they've talked about before. And most of the time they're like, I cannot believe you remember that. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't I? Like you're here all the time. And this one dude kept popping in and out of my lives all the time and just asking questions and being real nice. Like he commented on my videos all the time. And I was like, man, this guy's pretty cool. And then he put a message in the live and he was like, hey, I've got a present for you. And I was like, okay, I'm not giving you my address if that's what you want. And he's like, no, 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 it's cool. I'm like, well, what is it? He goes, you're gonna have to wait till after the stream. And I was like, okay. So when I ended the stream, he had sent me a message and he was like, hey, my name is Zach. I'm a graphic designer. That's my career. And I just love the stuff you do. Grothmar and Company makes me laugh so hard. So I drew some stuff up for you. And he sent me all the files for all, like my logo, he designed that.
Oh wow!
Like the bearded face, he designed that. He did the Grothmar and Company going for new record, like everything in my merch store, he designed, and he just wanted to give it to me for free because he liked my
awesome.
stuff. And I basically started crying, and I was like, I have never had someone be this nice to me like this, like a complete stranger. And now I've got his phone number, he's got mine. If I ever make it to Oklahoma, we're gonna hang out type thing. And he's one of my best buds. We talk all the time. We're in Discord groups together and stuff, and he's one of my mutuals now. His stuff has not grown very much, but he's still just like one of the people that I really, really attribute some of my success to because he has been so super supportive. And like I'm like, dude, you made me a merch line. What in the world?
Right? It's incredible.
That doesn't happen.
It's one of those stories that it restores your faith in humanity, kind of thing.
Yeah, and my first thought was, how much is this guy gonna want for this stuff? Because like I got no money, and I was like, man, I thank you so much. What do I owe you? And I was just gonna be like, all right, well I can give you payments. And he's like, oh, nothing. You don't owe me a thing. And it just floored me. I'm like, why would a complete stranger be this nice to someone they've literally never met? And I found out later that he is gay. So not only is he a stranger I've never met, based on what all sorts of comments that I get on my freaking videos insinuate, I'm a Christian, so I apparently hate gay people. And he
How
should
dare
never
you
have been
accept
my friend
people
to
for who
begin
they
with.
are?
And I'm just like, ah. So it was just this neat little thing that happened. And I'm like, life is crazy sometimes.
And as a father and a business owner, like I see my nieces and some of my nephews are on TikTok. I've seen the darker side of TikTok, and I worry about them falling over there. I mean, as a father, social media as general. I mean, this is where your business is based off of. Do you worry about that for your kids one day when they have their own cell phones? I mean, how do you and Brittany approach that conversation with them?
Well, right now, my kids don't have access to any social media. They don't have phones. They don't have tablets. Like, that's just not something we have done as a family. And my oldest, he's 8. He keeps going, well, when do I get a phone? I'm like, when you buy it. Have fun
As
with
it
that.
should be. Yeah,
And
I got a
I
flip
get
phone.
some parents do that because they want to be able to have contact with their kids. But we are at home. We homeschool. Like, my kid's not going anywhere that I don't know where he's going. Grandma lives 3 blocks down the street. He's either here or there. That's it.
Yeah.
So we have contact. And I'm just like, you know what? And we've been teaching them there are strangers out there that will do bad things to you or say bad things to you. You have to be careful. So even before they get their own phone, they know what TikTok is. They absolutely know what TikTok is. They love being in parts of my videos. If they can be in a live, they will absolutely be in a live. But I have to be careful because TikTok will shut my lives down if it's primarily them because they're like, oh, you're not 16. I'm like, it's me though. They're just here. But like they'll sit there and while I'm crafting and like poke their head in the live and be like, Dad, ask them if they want to see me make Lego stuff. And I'm like, they want to see you make Lego stuff, but go build a rocket. And he'll be gone for 10 minutes. Come back. He's like, I made a rocket. Can I show them the rocket? And I'm like, all right, you do know that like there are nice people out there, but there are still really bad people out there. and you cannot just blindly trust anyone
And I think
at all.
as a society whole, I think we're kind of on that precipice of that because I didn't get a cell phone and it was a flip phone with program numbers into it because I started driving and my parents wanted to know where I am.
Yeah.
I didn't have a computer of my own until I was in college because I paid for it for myself and I needed a way to, do papers and as a
Right.
history major. And so that was 90%
Oh, yeah.
of my life is this writing. So it's weird to see like my youngest nieces and cousins that are, I think the oldest one maybe 13, 14 years old with their own tablet and TikTok. It's like, why are you on here?
Yeah. Like
You're
I
not my
have
child,
kids
but okay.
now that have put questions on my TikTok like, "Hey, you work at Verizon, right? You helped me fix my phone the other day." I'm like, "You are 12. Oh, like you're a child. This is not probably somewhere you should be." But I know for a fact that there's a huge, huge collection of kids on the app, and that's a lot of the reason why I keep my stuff super PG. Plus, that's just what I want to do anyway. But I want parents to be able to watch my videos with their kids and not worry that they're going to scroll to a video and have to be like, "Oh, sorry, you didn't hear that, kid."
Mm-hmm.
Because
Well,
like
that's
I
super
like watching
important for a
videos with my
brand.
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, and and I've gotten chewed out a couple times because I have some teachers that follow the podcast. They're like, we really like your show, and we're 20 minutes in, and all of a sudden you drop an F-bomb, and it's like I can't show it to my kids. I'm like, I'm sorry. In particular, Grandpa Ben's wife.
Well, I mean, but to be fair, that's not your audience, though.
Right, well, it's not meant to be,
Right.
but she does have some students that out there that they need some direction. I think it's a lot of it is that they're getting the same story that we were told, that you graduate high school, you go to college, you get a 9 to 5, you pay your taxes, you get married, and you die.
Right.
Here, and I try to talk to people like yourself who started your own company, and here's this other option out there, and she wants to be able to feed that to them. Like, hey, there's this other cool thing out there that you can do yourself, but
Mhm.
language, and obviously a
Yep.
teacher can't go and promote, hey, go listen to this podcast, and they swear a lot.
Depends on the public school, let's be honest.
Right. But
I've met
recently,
some of my
through your
co-teachers, yeah.
right? But through through TikTok, I saw you recently started doing one-shot campaigns with your followers over Twitch, and it's an auction to get on there, correct?
Yeah.
How can us listener or fans of yours get in on the auction, and do you have plans for your next campaign?
Yep. It's just a raffle, so you send $4 per entry to like my PayPal, my Venmo, or my Cash App. All of them are linked, and you include your TikTok username. And if you want to pay $20, you get 7 entries instead of 5. And it will be sometime in November. Once I have all the winners, I talk to them and I go, "Hey, these are the days I'm looking at. We need to make a day work because this is not something that I can keep doing." And this will be my second one. My first one went great, just absolutely great. And I'm going to be real, like I'm doing it because I need money for new tools and stuff. Like this one helped fix our car. We went from not having 4-wheel drive to having bad brakes, and the rear main seal was leaking like crazy, to where now the only thing is we're waiting on the right part for the brakes to come back because we accidentally ordered the wrong one. And this raffle paid for it all completely. And it was
And
just
if
like,
listeners of the
'cause
show
I'm-
go watch that TikTok, please be warned. There's onions being cut during that. Your eyes
Nice.
might start to sweat a little bit.
Right. But like, I am not the guy. I'm not about charity. I'm not just going, "Hey, because I have followers, give me money." I hate that. I despise that to the like innermost of my core. I'm like, no, like, why are they going to give you money just to give you money? That's stupid. So I'm like, what could I do to at least make it somewhat worth their while? And I was like, hey, $4 for a raffle. People can afford $4 for a raffle. And it's not like they're not getting anything. They get the chance to be in there. And a couple friends of like, dude, you should do a GoFundMe with tiers of rewards. I'm like, you can put rewards in GoFundMe? And
You
that's
can do
something
that.
I've thought about doing too, because people are like, dude, you know that like I was talking with a friend and he's like, hey man, how much do you owe on your house? Because I know that your house payment is pretty big. And I was like, it is. Yeah, it's a pretty big house payment. He's like, how many followers do you have? And I was like, at that point, I was like, about 305,000. He's like, dude, if all of your followers donated 50 cents, your house would be paid off. And I'm like, I know. He goes, make a GoFundMe. And I was like, I am not about that. No. I'm not the guy that's like, hey, so I can chase my dreams. Please help me pay off my house. Like, I'll get there one day. But I don't like that. It doesn't sit well with me. I'd rather do something for you that you get something as well. And just, I don't like it. No.
How much time? So if I throw into the raffle and I win, I mean, how much time should I plan on carving out for a game session?
6 to 8 hours. It's a one shot. So from beginning to end, that's all we're going to do.
Oh, and here Casey cuts me off at like 2 hours. I see
4,
how it is.
Right?
4. And Gordon, you go over that constantly.
What? No.
Yeah. And I understand, like, the Nat 20 show, when I play with them, I've told them, I'm like, guys, I really, like, I've got other stuff to do. I've got a family. I understand every single one of them, none of them have kids. None of the other players in that game have kids. None of them are married. 1 or 2 of them has a girlfriend or something like that. So I'm like, guys, I can't go for 6 hours every Sunday. That's ridiculous. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll try and keep it down. And then we never do. And I'm like, guys, like, I have to pull back. And I haven't played with them in a while because of that. It's like, it's not that I don't want to play with you guys. It's that I am a father, a husband, and a business owner. I have to do this other stuff.
But you're a business owner. You can take off as much time as you want.
Yeah, if only I was if that was my complete, if that was all of my income, that'd be one thing. But I still have to go Monday through Saturday and deal with angry customers all the time.
I mean, do you see a light at the end of the tunnel? Like, here's all the bills I need. Here's how much I need to make so I can be comfortable. Light at the end of the tunnel to be completely self-employed. Have you mapped that out for yourself?
We've been discussing it, me and my wife, a lot. And I've already told my full-time job that, hey, I know we're getting into the busy season of selling phones. Like, iPhone is releasing their new model next week. So that's going to be crazy for us. And then November is crazy because we're no longer doing a Black Friday. We're going to be doing sales throughout the month type thing. And then December is going to be insane because it's Christmas. And I told him, like, hey, after first of the year, I'm going bare minimum part-time. Because that will give me time to be at home doing stuff. And it will give me a more set schedule. Because right now, my schedule fluctuates daily. Like, I don't know when I'm going in. They plan our schedules a month in advance, but there is no rhyme or reason half the time to when you go in. Like, some days you'll be opener, and the next day you'll be opener, but then you'll only get to leave 30 minutes before close. And you're like, what in the world is going on here? But when I'm a part-time, they're like, you'll be like 1 to 7, 4 days a week, and that'll be it. I'm like, well, wow, that's a whole lot easier to plan around now, isn't it?
Do you have any anxiety, or you and your wife have any anxiety about making that transition? Because myself, I'm full-time and I'd love to be self-employed again.
Right.
But my fear is I know how much I make, comes in every 2 weeks, no questions asked. It's consistent. And the benefit package behind that, if I were to go self-employed, yes, I could pay my bills,
for that, yeah.
but it's like, what do I do for the extra stuff?
No, well, the thing with my company right now, our benefits are almost nothing. Like, we have Aflac. Let's be real here. Aflac covers accidental stuff, and that's it.
But
so I'm like, I don't really
good.
have benefits with it to begin with. Whatever. My hourly is $11. I can make that at most fast food restaurants. And with Pizza Hut, my tips were much better than that. I got tipped really well because people liked me as a delivery driver. And like, we work on commission, but with Corona, how it is lately, our commission, like company-wide commission, has just sucked. Because nobody wants to sit in the store for 2.5 hours wearing a mask to get their phone fixed or get a new one and whatever. So there's a little bit, but I am very much the dude that's just like, hey, whatever happens, happens. And I'm going to roll with the punches. And I've been that way my whole life. And it has infuriated my family my whole life because I'm just like, whatever. And it's worked. And they're like, how is this still working? There's no logical reason behind this still working. You just happen to make it work every time. I'm like, I don't know. It just does. And it makes them so angry. So part of me is like, yeah, there's a little bit of anxiety. But at the same time, I'm looking at like, what am I really giving up? Like, really, am I giving up anything? Because my custom stuff, between our Etsy and my custom stuff right now, I've made more in that than I have at my normal job in the last 2 months.
Well, on that note, Casey, Matt, do you guys have any last questions, parting thoughts?
Oh man, I'm sure as soon as we shut off the mics, I'm gonna have a bunch of them.
Right. That's how it
But
goes.
no, they'll just be answered in TikToks later down the road. So
Matt, anything?
oh, no, it's not.
No, it's not. No, I was interested in the custom stuff. I already got my answers on that. So
Josh, any parting thoughts? Any advice for potential TikTokers or self-employed small businesses out there?
There's always going to be the really, really big temptation to do what everybody else is doing that you see getting them big. But I'm not about that. I'm not about going with the flow and doing what everybody else is popular with. I could have probably been a whole lot bigger on TikTok right now if I was doing what everybody else was doing popular wise.
I wouldn't be mad if I
I mean,
saw
all of those delightful dances, like.
Right. If
Oh
you
yeah,
could
can you
put,
imagine me
please,
getting down to some of
I
those?
will Cash App, Venmo, buy whatever I need to off your shop if you put the druid costume on and do a twerk video. No,
Oh my
the
gosh.
WAP.
Adrian is too pure for that. Oh, no.
I want the WAP video in the druid costume.
Oh gosh. Oh geez.
Hashtag druid
Well,
WAP.
now we all just feel dirty. Gordon.
We're gonna get
Thank
that
you.
trending on Instagram and Facebook, Twitter.
I was thinking the blinding light stance. So
Oh gosh. I did have someone say like, what would it take? Like, we're gonna start a GoFundMe to wax your back. And I was like, y'all don't got enough money. Just understand that right now. That is not happening. Mm-mm.
Well, that mortgage disappears. We might be talking a different tune. I'm just saying.
He's like, how much did you raise? Holy crap.
Well,
Oh,
thank
but,
you again,
yeah.
Josh, for taking the time out of your schedule to be on the show. I really appreciate it. And
Yep.
thank you to everyone that's listening to the show. Without you, the show is not possible. Many of you asked how you can help out. There's a couple of things you can do. First off, head over to Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review or whatever you feel the show is worth, and leave a little comment on there. I always enjoy reading those. Hopefully, and secondly, excuse me, tell your friends, your family, your coworkers, and convince them that they need to check out the show. Maybe it's a coworker that you don't want to talk to as much, or maybe you just want to help me force Casey to keep the lights on down here at the studio until the odd hours of the night. Lastly, if you'd like to help bring new episodes out, please head over to patreon.com/rulesofthearena podcast, and you can, this little tip jar up there, it's just $1 a month. That's all I asked for. And keep an eye out. We're going to have some new merch coming out soon. I'm working with J.E. Collins on some J.E. Collins photography on doing some collaborations there. You can also keep in touch, excuse me, with new episodes and guests by following the show on Facebook and Instagram, both at Rules of the Arena Podcast. Don't forget to follow the show on Twitch, where you can tune into the show and join the live conversations. Just head over to twitch.tv/Rules of the Arena. And if you miss a live stream, don't worry. You can still check out the video broadcast by heading over to YouTube. Just search Rules of the Arena Podcast. If you'd like to get a hold of me directly for any comments, concerns, questions, if you would like to be a guest on the show, please shoot me an email to Gordon, that's Gordon, at blindninjastudios.com. Last note of business, and please don't forget to check out my other show, No Story Left Behind. You can find that show on its own feed wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And you can also follow the show on Facebook and Instagram at No Story Left Behind. Thank you again, everyone, and we will catch you next time.